Here is the world news at 5. First, the top stories. Ogun State Model College, Ishara, named after late Sir Laniun Ajayi. Worried over danger posed by refugees in the IDP camps. Nigeria's Chief Justice warns lawyers against unethical practices. 2018 census to cost 222 billion naira. CIA chief warns President-elect Donald Trump. And football world rallies around Brazilian team over plane crash. Good evening, I am Kunle, Alaye, bringing you the news in detail very shortly. Ogun State government has named its model college at Ishara Remo after the late elder statesman Sir Olaniyan Ajayi. Governor Kunle announced this at a farewell and commendation service for the late Afenifere chieftain organized by the Ogun State government at the Shagamu interchange. Amusa says the model college will be the fourth to be named after illustrious sons of Ogun State, including the one in Ikenne named after late Chief Mrs. H.I.D. Awolowo, the one at Shagamu after Nigeria's first professor of medicine, Theophilus Kunle, and the one at Iwekuru after Dr. Akinyo Ngbola. Afenifere leader Chief Ayo Adebanjo speaking at the occasion thanked God for the life and times of late Ajayi.
Let the followers of our Lord note God doesn't make a mistake. And those of us who have been followed faithfully, watch it, those who have been following loyally. Why do I say that? On this occasion, when our Lord died, succeeded by Banyasi, we had to be holding meeting in our home regularly. None of you may not. The three of us, this one, Laniwaya, and myself, and later. But I thank God for Sir Laniwaya. I thank God for what he has done.
The service was attended by former Governor Cornelius Adebayo, former Lagos State PDP governorship candidate Jimmy Agbaje, Professor B. Yafonja, Senator Banji Akintoye, and Professor Theophilus Mulesi, as well as member of the Ogun State Executive Council. Police in Ogun State have restricted the operation of commercial motorcyclists within certain hours during the Christmas and New Year celebration in the state. The police command, in a statement by its image maker Abimbola Oyeyemi, says they will only be allowed to operate between 5 a.m. in the morning and 8 p.m. in the night. Oyeyemi also says commercial motorcyclists in the state will no longer be allowed to carry more than one passenger. Once that the directive will be fully enforced by the police and that anyone caught violating it will be arrested and prosecuted, as well as having his motorcycle impounded. Laboratory scientists have called on the government at all levels to fully enforce compliance by motorists on the regulation on emission control. National President of the Association, Alhaji Toyosi Rahim, made this call in Abeokuta on the sideline of the 2016 Annual Scientific Conference of the Federal Medical Center Abeokuta chapter of their association. Rahim asked governments to punish anyone found to be polluting the already intoxicated Nigerian environment and revoke the driver's license of any motorist whose vehicle failed the emission test.
It should be taken as a criminal offense because something that is going to have a long-lasting impact on an individual or group of individuals should be taken seriously. For instance, it's been shown that there are some cases where people continuously with it, this is all the whole of the people in that community without knowing, and of course, if care is not taken, you will discover that majority of the people in that environment and even their generation should get unborn is suffering from a particular disease. So it should be seen as a criminal offense. Anybody that is promoting environmental pollution should be seen as a criminal and should be dealt with.
Meanwhile, the government has promised to work with all stakeholders in addressing the environmental challenges. Speaking at the events, the State Health Commissioner, Dr. Babatunde Igbaye, represented by the Director of Public Health in the Ministry, Dr. Yusuf Kudus, told the audience that the Amosu administration frowns at any form of environmental lawlessness. President Muhammadu Buhari says more than 2 million refugees in the internally displaced camps, particularly in the northeast region, posed a serious danger to the nation's security. Buhari is worried that some of the refugees could cause social crisis and become another form of Boko Haram sect if they are not properly settled. The president stated this while receiving the world leader of Tijaniya Islamic movement, Sheikh Sharif Mohammed, at the presidential villa in Abuja. Regretting the massive destruction of public infrastructure and institutions in the northeast region, Buhari says the presidency is now facing the urgent task of rebuilding schools, health centers, and towns destroyed by the Boko Haram. Buhari says the destroyed schools must be rebuilt and teachers recruited, or all the children in the refugee camps may become Boko Haram fighters tomorrow. Cross River State Government is about to recruit more than 3,000 youth into its Homeland Security Services. The main task of the security outfit, whose operatives will not carry arms, is gathering of intelligence for the police. The state governor's media aide, Christian Ita, in a statement says applicants must be holders of a university degree or higher national diploma. The State House of Assembly recently passed a bill to give a legal backing to the new security outfit. Nigeria's acting Chief Justice Walter Onogen has warned new lawyers against indulging in unethical practices. The Chief Justice, who issued a warning in Abuja while calling the new 4,225 lawyers into the bar as a minister in the Temple of Justice, they must avoid sharp practice in protecting the interests of their clients. The role of lawyers, according to Nigeria's Chief Justice, is multifaceted and cut across every segment of the society. Speaking at the event's Director General of the Nigerian Law School, Mr. Olanrewaju Onodeko, expressed concern over the challenge of violation of the admission quota by law faculties of some of the universities in the country. Ondo State's Governor-elect Rotimi Akeredolu says his administration will not probe the outgoing Governor Olusegun Mimiko's administration. Akeredolu, who was elected in the last Saturday's governorship poll with a wide margin, told newsmen in Akure, the state capital, that he does not believe in probing his predecessors. The governor-elect said the mandate he received from the state electorate is to govern the state. The past, according to him, is past, and government is continuous. The tenure of outgoing Governor Mimiko will end on January the 17th, 2017. The 2018 National Population and Housing Census is to cost 222 billion naira. Chairman of the National Population Commission, Chief Eze Duru Ihoma, made this known at a workshop on the exercise in Akwanga, Nazareth State. He says that the 222 billion naira budget has been spread over a period of 4 years to cover different segments of the exercise. The 222 billion naira budget, according to him, will be spent on the purchase of handheld devices for biometric equipment, recruitment of 1.5 million field staff, as well as training of the field officers. You are still listening to the World News at 5 from Rock City 101.9 FM. Up next, we bring you foreign, business, and the sport news. Please do stay with us. Saying that director of the CIA has warned United States President-elect Donald Trump that ending the Iran nuclear deal will be disastrous and the height of folly. John Brennan also advised the new president to be wary of Russia's promises, blaming Moscow for much of the suffering in Syria. In his campaign, Mr. Trump threatened to scrap the Iran deal and also hinted at working more closely with Russia. President-elect Trump has said he will consider resuming waterboarding if he thought it will be effective. John Brennan made it clear he thought that will be a mistake. The football world has rallied around the Brazilian club which lost most of its players in a plane crash in Colombia. Only 6 of the 77 people on the plane carrying members of the Champions League team survived Monday's crash. The team were flying to what was billed as the biggest match in their history, the final of the Copa Sudamericana. Their opponents, Colombian team Atlético Nacional, have have offered to concede the game to ensure Champions League are declared the champions. In a joint statement, Brazilian First Division football teams have offered to lend players to Champions League free of charge and asked the league to protect the club from relegation from the next 3 years. Several leading footballers from Barcelona star Lionel Messi and Neymar to Manchester United's Wayne Rooney have also paid tributes to the players who had become an unlikely success story in recent years. There were also 21 journalists on board. Both flight recorders have been recovered. Goalkeeper Marcos Padilla, also known as Danilo, was pulled alive from the wreckage, but he later died in the hospital. Up next in the world news, business news. Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has projected that Nigeria will become a rice exporting country in the year 2017 if the bumper harvest of rice recorded this year is sustained. The Apex Bank's Corporate Communication Acting Director, Isaac Okoroafo, stated this during a sensitization program for rice farmers in Bayelsa State on the CBN Anchor Borrowers Program. Okoroafo says the rice harvested this year under the program, if continued in the year 2017, will enable Nigeria to meet its local demand of between 6 and 7 million metric tons yearly and exports to other countries. For instance, Okoroafo says Kebbi State, where President Buhari launched the CBN program in 2015, produced over 1 million tons within a year, while Ebonyi State produced about 1.2 million metric tons. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has promised the introduction of a more flexible foreign exchange allocation to cope with the shortage of hard currency in the foreign exchange market. Osinbajo, who made a pledge in an interview with Reuters, says the presidency will liaise with the Central Bank of Nigeria to make the foreign exchange market reflect the actual demand and supply of foreign exchange in the country. Recently, the Apex Bank approves raid by the security agents on operators of bureau de change in desperate moves to keep down the rising rate of the dollar. He blames the shortage of foreign exchange largely on the loss of oil revenue due to militant attacks on crude oil pipelines and export terminals in the Niger Delta region. The vice president says that at this stage, Nigeria was losing about 1 million barrels of crude oil daily to the militant attacks, which according to him translates to the loss of about 60% of the projected oil revenue. And finally, in the world news, sport news. Nigeria Super Falcons remain on course for a 10th Women's AFCON final after they beat South Africa 1-0 to now face host Cameroon in the championship game on Saturday. Desire Oparanoze was the match winner for the defending champions when a hugely deflected free kick in the 54 minutes proved to be the difference between the two teams. Saturday's final will be a repeat of the 2014 championship game in Namibia, which Nigeria won 2-0 at the expense of the champions. Ghana and South Africa will play the third place game on Friday. And that was the news at 5, but just before we go, the major stories once again. The World News at 5 we reported Ogun State Model College, Ishara, named after late Sir Olani Wajayi. Buhari worried over danger posed by refugees in the IDP camps. Nigeria's Chief Justice warns lawyers against unethical practices. 2018 census to cost 222 billion naira. And on the foreign scene, reported CIA chief warns President-elect Donald Trump. Quite on a sad note, football world rallies around Brazilian team over plane crash. For more stories and to listen to us live, do log on to our website www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Really do thank you very much for listening. I am Kunle. Alaye. Good evening.